Good evening. It's Wednesday, February 1st, 7 p.m., and I'll call to order the Ottawa City Commission meeting. Can I have roll call, please?
Mayor Crowley.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore.
Present.
Commissioner Graves.
Present.
Commissioner Kaler. Commissioner Clayton.
Present.
All right, that makes four of us, so that makes a quorum. We'd like to welcome everybody, whether you're in the audience tonight or you're listening to us on some form of media. We'll start tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Reverend Bob Colrick from First Christian Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reverend, are you muted?
So,
There you go.
can you hear me?
Good
Can
evening.
you hear me now? Is it okay now?
We can hear you.
Okay. Would you bow with me in prayer, please? God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help us, God, to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with clarity and restraint. God, give us a spirit of service and remind us, Lord, that we are to be good stewards of the responsibility you have laid on our shoulders. And would you guide us, Holy Father, to be the leaders your people need and deserve. Help us, Lord of all, to see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us, and help us to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor or different, with the reverence your creation deserves. And now, Heavenly Father, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of love and care. We ask this in your sons and daughters, confident of your goodness and love. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend.
Yes. You're welcome.
Literally 1 minute. All right, that'll move us on to our consent agenda. Tonight, that consists of our minutes from the January 9th study session, the January 18th regular meeting, the January 23rd study session. It also consists of an appointment of Carla Griffith to the Board of Zoning and Appeals, and then the board and commission assignments for the 2023 for the mayor and the commission have chosen to be assigned to the following boards and commissions. So for the Airport Advisory Board, it'll be Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore, along with the Chamber of Commerce. Franklin County Development Council is Mayor Crowley. Kansas Municipal Energy Agency is Commissioner Kaler. The Library Board is also Mayor Crowley. Neighborhood Revitalization Committee is Commissioner Kaler. Ottawa Main Street Association is Commissioner Clayton. Ottawa Memorial Auditorium Advisory Board is Commissioner Graves. Plague Task Force is Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore. And Prairie Paws Animal Shelter is Commissioner Clayton. And then the agenda approval. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. That'll move us on to our regular agenda. Do we have any public comments?
None this evening.
Thank you. Item 11 is our declaration. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider tonight's issues impartially. Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Item 12.
Proclamation recognizing February 2023 as Black History Month.
February has been set aside nationally for Black History Month to allow an opportunity for citizens to become aware of the contributions African Americans have made. Richard Jackson will accept the proclamation, and it will be read by our Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore.
It's an honor to read this proclamation, and it reads as follows. Whereas, in 1915, Dr. Carter G. Woodson created the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, now called the Association for the Study of Afro-American Life and History, and in 1926 introduced Negro History Week. And whereas in 1976, as part of the Americans bicentennial celebration, the week was extended to a month and now officially known as Black History Month. And whereas February has been set aside nationally for the observance of Black history, allowing an opportunity for many citizens in Ottawa to become aware of the contributions that African Americans have made toward the empowerment of the Ottawa community and the country. And whereas today Black History Month continues to be an important time of reflection and celebration for all Americans. And whereas this observance of Black History Month must lead to the day when the history of the world will be void of national bias, race hate, and religious prejudice. Now therefore be it resolved that we as a community assess where we are positioned at this time in our history and determine where we are going in the future. Let it be further resolved that a true and objective presentation of history eliminates the foundation of racism for some and increases the self-esteem of others. Now therefore the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas does hereby recognize the month of February 2023 as Black History Month and urge all citizens to join in the observance of this month. Signed this first day of February 2023 by our Mayor Eric Crowley.
Thank you. Richard, you want to come on up? Thank you. There you go.
One, two, three. Perfect.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. You know, I think the proclamation pretty much sums it up in terms of Black History Month. Mention a few things. I think with what is going on today in this country, across the country, and relation to race relations, and I think it's important that we understand each other's race. That's where we learn from each other, and we ancestors all came over on somebody's boat, and so we all have something to contribute to this country, to contribute to this community. But as I was saying before, with the move of some in the country with banning black studies and critical race theory, which is not taught in schools, high schools, it's taught in some colleges, not all colleges, and there's a reason for that. So we don't want that to interfere with the purpose and the contributions that have been made by African Americans in Kansas. You all get the League Journal, and I trust that you read it, so if I read through here and ask you some questions, you'll be able to answer those. Just make a couple of comments. If you ever have the opportunity to go to, I've lost it, Nicodemus. If you ever have a chance to go to Nicodemus, you ought to take that opportunity. There's a few families left there in Nicodemus. It used to be a thriving community at one time. When you talk about economic development, they saw the benefits from economic development way back in the 1700s, 1800s. They raised about $12,000 to try to influence the railroad to come through their community. And when that didn't happen, they lost population. Buffalo Soldiers, I will ask you a question on Buffalo Soldiers. Why are they called Buffalo Soldiers? Because of their hair. Their hair resembled that of a buffalo, so that's how they got their nickname. The Buffalo Soldiers in Kansas was, I think, the second Company 10 that was authorized by Congress as Buffalo Soldiers at Fort Leavenworth and also, I believe, Fort Hays. If you look through the League Journal, you'll see a number of outstanding citizens from Kansas, the state of Kansas. If you're a Jayhawk fan, there's Barry Sanders and Gail Sayers there, and Lynette Woodard. Lynette was all-time women's basketball scorer. First time I had an opportunity to meet her, she was coming from Wichita on the way to Lawrence, and she stopped by Bethany Chapel for service. So that was an opportunity. But again, appreciate all that you do in support of Black history and support of Martin Luther King, and as we go through the years, support other individuals, other groups that have contributed to this community, and sometime you might want to take a look at having an Ottawa Day where you can recognize everybody, bring everybody together and celebrate what contributions they've had to make, not only to the state, but to this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. That'll move us on to item 13.
Request for approval of bid recommendation to complete a comprehensive fire department study.
Staff recommends approval of bid by the Center of Public Safety Management to complete a comprehensive fire department study. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. To summarize on agenda item number 13, it is, we put out an RFP for a comprehensive study. We received back 2 proposals. One proposal did not meet the qualifications of the RFP. The other one did. That company is the Center of Public Safety Management. We had sent out, this is about a 2.5-year project, and even though it's at a higher dollar amount, we would like for you to go ahead and approve that. This will look at multiple different facets of the fire department, but one facet would be station location study, which is what this all started out 2.5 years ago, and it's kind of grown into this comprehensive study. Comprehensive study will look at staffing, resources, resource management, the city as a whole, adjusted calls for service, projected growth of the city, on and on and on. It's quite a process. This will take about 6 months to complete. We'll come back, they'll come back and present it to the commission at that time for recommendations of the study. So,
Commissioners, any questions for Chief Mathias?
I know I had asked Chief during study session, and thank you for being here, Chief, if you had contacted or if you're aware if this particular organization had completed other comprehensive fire studies, and can you remind the public what your answer was?
They did one for Topeka, I know. And you can go to their website and just multiple comprehensive studies around the country, different departments from populations from 8,000 to 80,000 or 800,000. So very well versed in small communities plus large communities. Most of their employees are either current fire, police, or retired. And so very well versed in what they do. So,
Chief, you'd mentioned that this one was higher than the other bid,
Yes.
which the other bid didn't meet, the requirements that we had. But if some of those requirements had been met, it probably would have driven that cost up to a comparable cost of what CPSM is.
yeah, I think it would have been up closer to what CPSM is. I think with we've seen a couple references from CPSM, and they're very, very detailed. It was a 90-page document from, trying to think of the department in Georgia, but not that big of a, it was a 35,000 population, and they had 90 pages on the comprehensive study. So it'll be a very well presented comprehensive study.
And Chief, I think you mentioned at the study session how important our ISO rating is and how this study can help show us where we need to place another fire station, and also just to keep abreast of fire safety. That affects everybody's insurance rates here in town. And so anything else, am I catching all that, or anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so on the ISO, in there, they do give you points for comprehensive strategic plans, and part of this would help us towards a strategic plan in the future, but it does list in the ISO for comprehensive studies like this, added points.
Keep that. Good.
So,
Commissioners, any other questions or comments for Chief Mathias? How would you like to act on item 13?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would move that we approve the bid recommendation to complete a comprehensive fire department study.
I'll
I
second
would
that.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, can I have a roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore?
Yes.
And Mayor Crowley?
I vote yes. Motion is approved. Thank you,
Thank you
Chief.
for your time. Thank you.
That'll move us on to item 14.
Request for approval of Hidden Lake Subdivision Preliminary Plat Phase 1.
The preliminary plat requires city commission approval due to a requested variance to subdivision regulations. The proposed development will include 24 single-family residential lots located east of South Princeton and east of 19th Street intersection. Good evening, Director Landis.
Good evening, thank you. This preliminary plat approval is the responsibility of the Planning Commission typically, except for in the case when there's a variance requested, and then that is why it's being brought to you as the City Commission. We had this discussion at previous study sessions. We've had quite a bit of conversation, but I want to explain the variance so that everyone understands what that is that's being requested. So access to Hidden Lake subdivision is by an extension of East 19th Street, which is to be built and dedicated as a public street by the developer. The extension of East 19th Street is through a parcel of land with a width of less than 45 feet, and the proposed right-of-way is less than the 60 feet minimum width of a right-of-way required by Ottawa's subdivision regulations for a local residential street. This item has been reviewed by a number of city staff. It's been to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission did vote on January 11th to approve the preliminary plat, subject to the conditions of approval, and then it came to you as the City Commission for your consideration. We've, like I said, we've had various conversations about all types of parts and pieces of this project, but the piece that's in front of you is the variance and the approval of the preliminary plat because of that variance. And we do have the developers' representatives here with us this evening as well as online, so any one of us can help answer any questions that you might have.
Commissioners, any questions? Do any one of you want to say anything? No? All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve item 14 in our agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just want to say that anytime we have a subdivision like this coming in, it's one of the things we've been hoping for, and we appreciate very much the investment y'all are making in our community. How many communities are needing something just like this, and we're lucky to land this project. So I'm very happy to see this progress forward and look forward to seeing ground getting turned in dirt and see what happens next. But thanks.
Any other comments? Can I have a roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton?
Yes.
And Mayor Crowley?
I vote yes. Motion is approved. Gentlemen, pretty painless, so.
There you go.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Director Landis.
Thank you.
That'll move us on to item 15.
Request for approval of resolution for electric service rates.
Staff will review the proposed changes to the electric service rates.
Thank you. The city owns and operates an electric utility which includes production and distribution, and our operations and capital improvements are funded through the collection of user fees for electric services. We have had conversations with you through study sessions, both late in the last year and then again at this most recent study session, to present to you the financial forecast for this fund over the next 5 years, the capital projects that need to be completed, a variety of different conversations and different proposals were made. What we've brought to you this evening is what we've discussed at the most recent study session, which is a couple of specific changes, which I'd like to run through real quick. The terminology change from customer charge to base charge. The base charge remains unchanged. The demand charge for large power user classification also remains unchanged, and the annual rate increase for the energy charge, which affects all rate classifications, is proposed at a 6% increase annually for the years of 2023 through 2027. And like the other utilities, this would take place in March of this year. We are here and available for any questions that you might have, and happy to review anything that you need from us.
Commissioners, any questions for Director Landis or Director Tharp?
You know, we've been talking about this for several months now, looking at all different phases and ways to do this, and none of the commissions want to ever increase utilities, and because we're doing it to ourselves as well. We all live here in town. But I also feel like it's the responsibility for us to look at this, and also responsibility not just for next year, but the future years to come. Things have just gone higher everywhere, and we can't control that. And so with all that and with all the review we've been doing on this, and I think it's a very modest increase. It's not too high. It's not the highest one we looked at, not the lowest one, right in the middle. I think it's a good proposal. So with that, I will make the motion we approve item number 15 on our agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
How do you vote, Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton?
Yes.
And Mayor Crowley?
I vote yes. Motion is approved. Thank you, Director Landis. Thank you, Director Tharp, and thank you, your staff. That's we've had a lot of information put in front of us in the last couple months, and we certainly appreciate it in order to make this decision.
We'll pass that along. Thank you.
Thank you. That'll move us on to item 16, which is our comments by our city manager.
I have no comments tonight, Commissioner.
Thank you. Comments by city commissioners. Commissioner Graves,
I have no comment.
Commissioner Kaler,
Not at this time.
Commissioner Clayton,
None at this time.
Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore.
I think we covered everything tonight, so no comment.
And I have no comment either. So, anything else to come before the commission this evening?
You know, we could stay here for 9 more minutes because I think the high school kids have to stay for 30 minutes. So,
You guys have anything
I
you'd like to
mean,
discuss?
maybe they'd like to come up and talk or tell us about what they're learning in government. We can draw it out as long as we need to. I mean, or we can let you go 10 minutes early.
Does this count, does this count
Played
for all the
well.
30
Good
minutes?
job.
I think they should only get credit for
Played well.
20.